page down. There we go. Okay, so I have some objectives for what I want to try to accomplish here. I just want to make sure that you can, easily get to building-related information as you need it. You feel comfortable going in there. You know what's there. You go in, look for it, and you save some time because basically, hopefully after this, we give you some shortcuts or whatever for allow you to get in there. So, and as well as the construction documents online.
No more room.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is.
Welcome.
Hi.
So I'll go through some of the construction documents, related documents, what's available, how to get to that information, okay? So hopefully I'll meet these objectives before we end here. You feel free to grab any chair you want anywhere. I didn't make that picture, by the way, just in case you thought I was really, really good. I'm not. Okay. So what is it? Why use it? This is pretty much related to FIMS. FIMS stands for Facilities Information Management System, and abbreviated as FIMS. It's basically a central portal for information related to, at a building level. Okay, I'll be going over that. It's accessible through the web browser. If you have a iPad or a tablet, you can use the browsing tool to pull up the information. I've actually used it on my phone a couple times, being at conferences or off-site, to pull up. Someone wants to know a address, street address, or building ID. I can just, on my phone, it's a little small, but it works, go in, put in my SUNET ID to log in, and pull up the building list and scroll down and get that information. So as needed. So and also quick access to building floor plans. I'll be showing that as well. I got some information up there as far as questions you might have. What's the building name, address, parcel, etc. There's some things that maybe might not be so obvious. Would be the construction date of the building, open work orders, how many restrooms or specific room types there are. For multiple buildings, you'd probably want to just go ahead and create a help SU or email, and I'll show that to you. But sometimes things come up where someone wants to know what the restroom count is, let's just say for the whole main quad. They want to just relamp it, right, change out all the bulbs, and but they need to get a cost estimate. So those types of reports on multiple buildings, you just kind of send to me, and I can run that. There's no online ad hoc reporting for multiple buildings at this time.
Do you go outside the buildings too, Dogie?
There's some information outside the buildings, not too much through the FIMS portal. Like if you wanted locations of
decking.
There's some of patios and decks, and as well as like the square footage of that, if it's covered or not. We haven't surveyed the entire campus as far as the exterior, but we do have information on a good portion of it. So like the loading dock here, 340 Bon Air, right? We'd have that square footage or area identified. Okay. In fact, we can even maybe pull it up later if we have some time to look at that if you're interested in that. Okay. At least you'll know how to go in and see if it's available, and then if it's not, you can always request that. Okay. And then, because it is our goal to have the information, so as it's needed, we can prioritize that. Okay. We can't just say, hey, I need the whole campus, by next week, because we won't obviously have resources to do that. But on a building by building, sure, we can kind of just go out and map that area.
And you have a form where we do it by email.
Yeah, I'll go through. There's help SU and email links on most of the pages in here. All right. So the navigation for FIMS, is pretty straightforward. I don't have a laser pointer, which would be nice, and I want to stay close for the recording here. But top left, you have your enter screen, and then the middle here is your search page, and I'll be going through this. And then you have the building portal. Building portals basically grouped. The information is grouped here, and I'll be showing that in a second as well. One thing you can do if you want to use this information frequently is go into the building page and then bookmark that, or drag and drop a shortcut to your desktop, however you want to work. That way, you basically eliminate the need to go into the first 2 pages, because you can search from this page right here. Yes?
Special access?
Special access, like, yes, there's 3 levels of access, basically based on your student ID. It will determine what information you can see, and I'll touch on that in a little bit as well.
Type it in and find out what I got.
Yes, but I will show you the 3 different areas. So if you notice that you're missing something, access to some reports, then you can just let us know. So again, fims.stanford.edu is the website. If you're on campus, you can just type in FIMS. Just a quick overview before I kind of go into the demo here. I already mentioned it is grouped. We have a quick facts section, space reports. You can see where the arrows go. And there are links at the top which will take you to other applications. And I'm just going to be going over and showing that data.
Can you touch upon the difference between net usable and gross square footage?
Yes, I can. I was going to pull up right below the net and usable square footage is the square foot definitions, and I was going to click on that and pull it up. That will give you a definition of each of the areas. So that should answer the question there. And if it doesn't, you can always shoot me an email, and I can try to explain it a little bit better. So just some helpful tips. Besides typing in FIMS to get to the FIMS page, you can type in floor plans to get to drop into the FIMS building page to pull up floor plans. It's kind of nice. To get to the construction documents, you type in maps-archives with the .stanford.edu or without, depending on if you're on campus or not. Pretty obvious is the building ID and address assignments. You can get that. Room counts by room types and departments. You want to know how many counts of restrooms or labs there are. You can get that. You can find the location of the building on the campus map, color-coded floor plans. I'm going to touch on that, as well as some room occupants of showing who's sitting where. That's updated by the departments, not always as they move, so the accuracy of that should be questionable if you ever want to use that. And I mentioned this already, the submittal of the Help SU and email. And
all room types are updated by the department?
yes. Department codes, who's sitting in the department, the room type codes, and room occupants. Some departments choose not to go in and put in the information, but the occupancy is done by more by some departments than others. But the assignments to the rooms it's a perpetual system, right? So as changes go, there's start and stop dates. What's shown in FIMS for the room is just the most recent. So if you had a question, you wanted to know the history of the room, you knew it was a men's restroom, but now it's unisex, and you want to know when it changed, we can look that information up. But the space coordinator is their job title within the department, and it's their responsibility to update this. School medicine does it frequently as changes occur. Most of the academic buildings departments do it annually. Some do it as it occurs. Others just do it annually.
So this floor plan stuff, is that a bypass that I don't have to search by building and go to the floor plan?
You still have to search by building, because if
Okay.
you typed in floor plans, it doesn't know what building you want.
Okay.
So you do have to type it in. It's just an alternate way to get there. Okay. I would suggest if you use floor plans or any of this information to bookmark that particular page, and then when you open it up, you're already at the floor plan page, and you just change the building ID, and it refreshes the floors. You have floor 1, 2, 3, type in whatever Tressiter, it refreshes, and then pull up the first floor. Okay?
But Toby, do you guys double check on the space czars to make sure that updates are being made? So what if you know that there's been a building that's had some renovation, but you don't see any of the change that's happening in FIMS?
Mm-hmm.
Do you get some kind of alert then? Do you know? And Do you check in with that person? Because I would think,
So we get the Form 1 notifications of renovations, right? Plus, we also have the plans review and as-built turnover documents. So we maintain a list of floor plan changes, and we schedule that work, and we go out and look at the space. We'll update the database, adding rooms, changing square foot of rooms. We send the information to the space coordinator to let them know that the information's been changed, and if you can provide us with the room type or the organization that's occupying the room, we can input that data.
okay, so you do coordinate that,
We
that
coordinate-
update with them?
We coordinate with them, but we actually don't police it so much that, you know, if they don't respond to us, we don't keep going in and saying, hey, give us the information. If we know it's an office, we'll put it down as an office. If we don't know, we put in room type 999. Anytime you see nines for the department or room type, that means it's unknown,
Okay,
right? And then the department would need to be contacted. It's safer for us to put the unknown rather than say it's a lab and have it be an office.
okay.
So what I'm going to do here is just type in the FIMS. I don't have to put in stanford.edu, but I could. So previously, this is the top left of one of the slides, the little icon I showed, but just goes over some information about FIMS. This is where it's going to capture your SUNIT ID and drop you into the proper bucket. There are 3 security buckets, which I'll go through eventually here. System's been a little slow this morning.
Yeah, the Explorer has been awfully.
Yes, I noticed that too. Couple ways you can search. I recommend using the box here, but you can use the pull down. This is in alphabetical order. The addresses are listed for buildings whose building name is an address are listed first. Most of these are off-campus buildings. But then the building names will be listed down here. This is okay to use. The problem is you can't really do a quick search in here. I can't just start typing Clark and have it find the Clark Center. So I have to know that Clark is part of the name. I have to look at all of these, because if the Clark Center doesn't start with the word Clark, it's not going to be under C, right? If it's James Clark or whatever, then if I have to know that and I have to scroll down. Otherwise, it's going to be pretty hard to find the Clark Center. So I prefer just to type in Clark here. The more information you type in here, the harder it's going to get back. The harder it will be to get back what you want, right? So I just type in just a little bit, get me back anything that has the word Clark in it, right? If I typed in Clark Center, I would get this because it does say Clark Center. But if I don't know the full name, just type in a little bit. So this search also uses building aliases as well. It uses building IDs, which I have a lot of those memorized, so most of the time I just search by the building ID. But if you just had, say, Wallenberg as the name, or one of these classrooms the registrar's office has, you could just search by that as well. So that works out if you're trying to look up a classroom, you get some call or some request for someone gives you a classroom number, you could just type that up in there as well. So the results does show you all the aliases, if I didn't mention that. And now we got to the building page. And this is where you can get all the building information, which I'll talk about. First, I'm going to just kind of show the categories right here. Quick facts, square footage, parcel number, if that's ever needed. There are definitions for the square foot data. What the difference is between that net square feet basically would be more accurate if it said assignable square feet. So there's assignable, usable, and then gross. So just to talk about the differences real quick, assignable is basically where a space where a person can occupy or work. So a lab, an office, a restroom is not assignable. A closet, storage spaces, hallways, stairwells, that's not where people will occupy or work, okay? Those spaces are considered usable. So usable is assignable plus all of the
Common area
common areas of the building.
with closets.
Common areas.
Yep, closets, networking spaces. Maybe another way to think of it would be carpeted areas, or if there's not carpet, like a stairwell, maybe there's not carpet on that, but space that you can actually pass through, I can walk or go inside of, right? The space that I can't go inside of would be the wall thicknesses, open to below areas that drop down, okay? So the gross then includes the wall thicknesses. The gross is basically if you were to draw a perimeter around the exterior shell of the building, that would be the gross square footage.
Mechanical
There-
spaces.
Yes, yes.
Where
Okay.
does, the growth also includes attics?
The gross includes attics that are all space that's greater than 3 feet. So if an attic drops down all the way, we only calculate from the 3-foot area to the other area where it's 3 foot. So space that's less than 3 foot is not considered part of the gross.
3 foot in height.
3 foot in height, yes. I'm going to come back to the floor plans section here in a minute, but you can get all work orders, open work orders. This link takes you to the work order page, and it has pre-populated the building ID that I have here, and then I run search.
So is that accurate? Does it like pull every work order for that building from EAM?
If EAM is accurate, basically this, I just clicked on it, this is going to the same page that you would use to search for work orders. That's all it's doing, and it's pre-populating the building ID. So you could get there if you're already on this page, or if you have another link to the search request right here, you can just go in that way. But see, it's already pre-populated,
I see.
and you just hit submit, and it brings back the information. So the building manager, that might be some good information if you want to get the building, send them an email real quick. You can provide, this building seems to have actually a few building managers. I'm going to switch buildings here. So if you had this linked or bookmarked, right, you just bring this up. Maybe you just have it coming up to Wallenberg Hall, and you just want to search for a different building. This would be a lot quicker to pull this page up and type in a building ID and search this way than to go through the multiple FIMS pages. Okay? So, building names up here, address, building ID. Got your other information over here. Down here we have, some touch on the space reports. So we have reports for, I mentioned earlier, you could get, say, room counts. You can see the telephone closet, there's only 1 in the building. Janitor closet, there's 4. Restrooms, you can even scroll down. You can get the total square foot combined for all of these.
What's structural and what's other significant area?
Structural space is space that is in between the walls. It's basically wall area. It's the total of all of the 6-inch, 18-inch walls.
So room count for structural, there's only 6 walls?
There's 6 rooms. We have one room number, we assign a room number and assign structural space to it. That way, if you total all the rooms on a floor, you get the floor gross. If we only did the perimeter of each room and you totaled that, that wouldn't be the floor gross, right? Because that doesn't include the structural. So we create one room, and that structural room number is called CON, C-O-N, for construction, and that is just a calculated number. So if there was 6, I would have...
That means you've divided the floor plan into 6 sections to calculate the
There's-
inner wall area.
There's one structural room number per floor. So if there was 6, my guess is that there's 6 floors.
Oh, I see.
And I can easily find out how many floors there are by checking out the square feet by floors. And here's a list of all the floors with assignable, usable, and gross.
It's
Ooh. I got lucky. So here's a list of attributes that you
Go
can...
back to that, I had another question.
Which one, the room type?
No, yes, on the room type.
Sure.
Other significant area, what's that?
Oh, yes, that's right. The other significant area is going to be exterior spaces, covered or uncovered areas. It could be a hazmat area where they have tanks, they're storing tanks. There's a need for, say, EH&S to track these types of areas.
Okay.
Their database basically is a load of our space data. So if they try to type in whatever certain types of storage tanks, they need to assign it to a room in their database. Their room lookup list comes from our data set. So we provide this room information to
So
them.
that should not be in, that will be in the gross but not in the usable.
This will not be in the gross. This is outside of the exterior shell of the
Oh, it
building.
won't be in the
It's
gross.
not ventilated area.
Oh.
It's like the loading dock right here. The loading dock over here would not be part of the gross.
But then would it be a combination of different spaces, so you wouldn't be able to decipher exactly what that is?
Or a patio.
Yeah, you don't know if it's a patio, you don't know if it's this EH&S space, you don't know if it's a loading dock.
That's correct.
It's a mix.
Right now, you can't tell by looking at this. So if you found out in this example here that all of these spaces for the first floor, there's these 4 exterior spaces, you don't know what they are,
What's the link?
just by looking at it.
What's the link under the room? Will that take you to the actual map so you could kind of determine?
No, this takes you to the room information,
Yeah.
and eventually it would take you to iSpaced, so where you can make updates, but that's only accessible by the space coordinators. So if you did have a question...
If I went into that room by space type and I added up all this, I shouldn't do that. I should just look at your gross number. You know what I mean?
If you want the gross of the building, you should, just use
Just
the
use
quick
your
link.
gross number. I should never take a data dump from that, this screen. I shouldn't dump it and then add it up because it'll be wrong.
That's correct.
Oh,
That's correct.
okay.
If you were to dump it and add it up to get the building gross, you just remove this one here.
Oh, just that one?
Yep.
Okay.
Not all buildings have the other significant areas associated with it. All right. Square foot by floor, I briefly showed this one already. And I click and wait. But it just gives me the assignable, usable, and gross by floor. And the total. So if you ever wanted to see that information. What I'm going to do now is want to show you the room information. Maybe you need to know specific rooms. Actually, there's a couple ways to get to the room information. Besides clicking on the room information link, I'll show you the other way. But here we get a list of the rooms in the square feet. It's not a big help unless you know that where exactly room 30C is. You can open up another tab, open the floor plan and zoom in and pick the rooms you want and say, oh yeah, I need room 27 and 30. I want to know what this area is. And then jump back over here to get the area. Unfortunately, there's no streamlined position, but still, it's not that bad, 2 steps. Another way to get room information is if you're just looking up even room types. I can click on mechanical rooms, and here are the mechanical rooms with the areas by floor. So if I needed to know the total square, not just the total by build for the entire building, but just one specific floor, I could go and grab it this way. Do you want me to go through that one more time? Just room type code, you pick the room, you want to know the restrooms right here. You've got the total for the entire building, but maybe you just want a specific floor. So you could just click on that room type code to get the list of the floors.
How do you account for the interstitials in the lab? Where does it fall?
Lab space?
The interstitials, there are some lab buildings that have a full, like a service floor with all the equipment. Where does that come in?
It would be, there would be room types. It would be coded under mechanical room.
Okay.
If the space is larger than 3 feet in height, then you would find if there was a floor for interstitial space, it would be listed under square feet by floor. You would see one of the floors here would have a preceding I and then a number. And that just shows you which floor it's above, like I-1, I-2.
Like, I know Beckman has interstitials. Can we just go into Beckman and see?
07-530. Did I get that right? So it doesn't look like we have that one mapped. If there is an interstitial mechanical floor that's greater than 3 feet, then we need to map that. I know that one of the newer buildings does have an entire floor that's like 6 feet in height, or 4 feet or 5 feet or something, just enough to where you can't stand straight up in it, or I can't stand straight up in it.
So where are your categories of room types? Where's your listing of the categories of room types and their coding?
Like a description?
Yes.
That's a good question. I'm going to go ahead and jump in and show you where that is, and just let me finish my thought on the overview of this page, because it's pretty straightforward right here, as well as the attributes. You can get construction dates of the building. There's a construction date. You can just kind of scroll down. Some of these links will take you to reports. Some of them take you to Excel files that you have to open up the Excel file, and it's just all the buildings, and you have to scroll down to the building you want. We are providing a person's a contact name and the frequency that this is updated, or if it's the last time it was updated. All right. And if you want to email the person, because some people love to receive emails, like this person right here, Kathy Sumner, you could just click on that. And this is being recorded. I'm pointing this out because Kathy's in the room. Not that I'm just picking on some person. All right. So you had a question on the room type codes. So building information, this is a nice link to get into other things. It basically drops us into the Maps and Records floor plan and space data page. Okay? That was the building info link right here. There's a lot of text. If you just scroll down here, you get into some other information. You got the floor plans, FIMS. Building list, I'm going to touch on that, and I'm going to touch on the internal building list, which is not necessarily Stanford staff public. This will get you addresses and IDs for like the blue towers, various types of structures, as well as buildings, more internal buildings that we don't provide to Stanford staff.
And grounds too.
There may be some grounds in there. I don't think so, though, because I think it's just restricted to modulars, trailers, and buildings. Yeah. So there are some space-related policies. I'm going to click on this. I'm not sure if the room type code's listed there, but I will add it if it's not here, because it seems to make a lot of sense to have that here. Okay. I'm going to have to add that link here. So to get to the, I don't know.
You went to policy.
Yeah, I'm just down here at policies on this page right here. But I was basically on the floor plan space data page on Maps and Records. I linked here from FIMS. And I could have just went to policies and standards. The big thing that you might want to get here would be room numbering guidelines. This is more for project managers and engineers working on projects. If you're going to renovate a floor, you want to follow the room number guidelines right here, which just pulls up the PDF file here. So I will make a note to add the room type descriptions, okay? I don't have an easy way to tell you how to get there right now. The room type descriptions is I'm going to iSpace and policy here. It's a long way around. And then I'm going to the ORA website. I want iSpace.
Access given to everyone?
No.
I do think that.
Yeah.
Yeah, none of these are familiar to me either.
I can provide provide read access. You know, if you guys need it, and I don't have if we have some time, I can go through that a little bit more to show you what's available. But so I went to iSpace policies. I went to the ORA website. Maybe another thing to do is just type in ora.stanford.edu. That's probably a better way. Well, maybe not, because then you have to know that you have to go to the Research Administration Office. Let me just try to get the link, because basically the room type codes is an Excel file, or a Word file, excuse me, that lists all the room type codes with a brief description, and then there is a more in-depth description of what those codes are. Okay? If you want this, I can just send it to you as well, if you forget how to get here, until I get that link going. Okay? Send me an email. My email is Dobie@Stanford, because I'm the only Dobie here. And that was my comedy side. So, jump back in here to FIMS. Got to go back into a building. I want to pull up some floor plans now, just to show you where they are. Right here. Pretty easy link to get to from the building page. We have different types of floor plans available. We have just what I call the vanilla or plain floor plan, which just shows walls, windows, doors, and the room numbers. When you pull the floor plan up in the PDF file, just in case you don't feel comfortable or haven't done this enough, you can come in and zoom into an area, and then use the hand tool to pan around. So I just did a right click, zoom, and hand tool to be able to pan around. There's no searching available if I need to search for a room number here. So this is where I was talking about that if you wanted to get a certain area of a room, you'd have to come in and look at the room number, like 106. Then you'd have to go maybe open up another tab, get into the FIMS page for that building, and pull up the room list. Right here. And then scroll down to the first floor, 106, and see that it's 461 square feet.
Nice. All that was linked.
Yes, it would. Maybe eventually it will. Right now, there's the URLs embedded in PDFs aren't available to just link you there. We'll get there.
It just hovers over it and reads it.
Not through this. Maybe eventually in the base map application, you can go in and then open up the floor plan and pick on it and pull open information. Maybe we will get there eventually. We do have that written down as something that would be a great enhancement to the application. We also have building stacks available. What a building stack is basically it shows you a cross-section of the departments, the square footage and percentage by floor. This is not a real exciting building because you basically have one department code in here, or one academic department, and the rest of this here is just usable space, mechanical, stairwells, and whatnot. You can turn things on and off in the PDF file here if you wanted to. A little navigation thing is available. You can link, if you need TSO information, we don't have a link directly pulling up the TSO floor plan, but from this page, you click on TSO maps, and it will take you to Ray Liu's website, of the telecommunications website that pulls up the Bible sheets for that. And there is a phone number and I believe email address to get access if you don't have it already. This is taking a little time, but I'm just waiting for it to open up the TSO Maps web page right here. So
it's by room, so it maps them all?
So what I do is I go to Bible Sheets right here. Unfortunately, it's, well, maybe not unfortunately, but I just have to kind of navigate through their website. 0 Quad 7, I was doing Quad 7 400, Heron Hall. So I have to just kind of come in here, scroll down to whatever building I'm interested in. Ooh, there's a lot of 300s here. And then I can view the second floor, Heron. And here's the floors. Right click, go to Zoom, and I can get the TSO numbers for the rooms.
Now, if I were to look at that, how would I know where the elevators are?
Good question there.
Is shaft, does that automatically mean that it's elevators? No, it's
No.
ELEV, huh?
Yes, ELEV, and most, on their floor plans, they don't have the elevator room numbers listed. Their ducts and shafts basically have a red X through them, as well as the elevator. So most likely the larger area, like this one right here, is the elevator. You can definitely find the elevator on the other floor plans.
So what does TSO stand for?
Exactly.
That's a good question. It has to do with the phone jack numbers.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yes.
Or evidence.
TSO is technical service order.
Yeah.
Technical service order? Thank you. So if I'd have to pull open the floor plans, wait for that page to load. And then now see the ELEV01 down here? So you can locate the elevators basically by looking on that.
Track it all the way down. Say if I wanted to go to elevator 1,
Okay?
and I wanted to know the TSO
It's in the elevator.
associated with the elevator that the elevator phone is hooked up to.
Uh-huh.
How would I navigate from that elevator to the, to,
You have to open two.
I have two browser windows open,
okay.
and I come into the telecommunications, and then I can zoom in here. The problem with this is all they're showing right here. So they don't show, unless this is the TSO associated with this. They show a TSO right here, here, inside of this room here.
And what is is it an octagon?
So yes, I'm not familiar with Ray Liu's symbols on their floor plans. We just provide a courtesy link to try to make it easier for users to get to the floor plans.
And these floor plans don't live on maps and records archive?
This is ITS
Okay.
website here. So there are,
There's a legend right over there.
yeah,
What's that symbol?
card access, wireless access. All right? Additional resources for floor plans down here. If you need access, if you don't have it, you could also let me know, okay? This one, what I'm going to show here is we provide a little bit more than just the department reports. We also have square footage reports by room type code. A little bit harder to read at this. You'd want to probably print it out at 11 by 17, or just just zoom in here, and you can get this information. It's also available, from the building portal, FIMS portal page by room type. That'd be a quick way to go. And then you click on the room type to get a list of the rooms. If you want to know where those rooms are, this one might be a quick way to pull that information up. as well as the building stack to show room types by floor.
What's the PI? Do you also give the list of PIs?
PIs are the primary individuals. These are basically faculty members. If faculty members exist in particular rooms, they'll provide their names here with the amount of square footage that is associated with
With
them.
that faculty?
What's that?
Is it that you're giving square footage associated with that faculty, with that department?
Yeah, so basically labs, spaces, not offices, but mainly just labs. The space coordinators identify which faculty members are working in those labs.
Okay.
They also identify how much of their time is being spent on various functions, like organized research, departmental research, instruction, if they're grading papers, 10% instruction, 80% organized research. That information is tracked in iSpace.
Yeah, but I had a situation where I wanted to know from an application from a lab whether they had occupancy in that building, so I should have gone here to that PI data. Okay.
Yes, or even iSpace. iSpace would be a quick way to list that information as well.
But I don't have access to that.
Well, yeah, but I mentioned if you guys need access, just send me an email.
Okay.
Yeah, but I want you, if you want to use iSpace, then let me know. If you want to use these floor plans, or even both, right, just send me an email, let me know that you need access to that, if you don't have it already. And so, remember I mentioned 3 buckets, 3 categories for access into the page. So we do have faculty staff access, and this is the building page for faculty staff, right here. Basically, there's no attributes down at the bottom. And the reports available, they only have department and floor. They don't have a list of room types or a list of all the room numbers. If you ever end up in this page and you can't see the information that you know is there, we have authorized users and operational staff are the other 2 buckets. And this is just certain information is not included on authorized, and operational is everything. Operational is basically LBRE, EH&S, and public safety. And once that page loads, you can see the square footage reports have changed. I have more options now, as well as all of these building attributes are located down here. Okay? I only have 10 minutes, so I'm going to just run through and show you the building list, which is accessed through the building info page. I've been here before. It jumps in. You remember this? Floor plan space data. You can see all of the links right here. But here's the building list that provides me with the building ID, name, zone, street, and parcel. I can click on this here, especially if I wanted a list of all of the buildings on a certain street. Maybe I need to notify them of some construction work. I can sort by street name and scroll down to whatever street I wanted and get a list of the buildings that are located on that. You can do the same by parcel or even zone. Okay?
So the data that is in the searchable campus map type is identical to the street name address you have in here?
Yes, the data is coming from the same data source. Okay? The text on the map is not coming from the data source. It's manually entered. So if a building name changes, we change it in the database, it needs to be manually changed on the map as well. Okay? But other than that, if you were on the campus map and you search for an address or a building name, it's going to the same data source that's coming here, being pulled up, referenced here.
Dobie, I'm familiar with, A, B, C, D zones. What are the other zones like tests you have there?
Sure. Yeah, so we have, basically we have the housing, R&DE, we have athletics. Athletics is L, which doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sort it by zone and then you have
And
a T.
also, yeah, that's another thing you could do.
Okay.
The School of Medicine and the hospital. housing, athletics, school medicine, hospital.
I think you have some others too, right?
Oh,
O is other, basically it's not maintained by any of those groups. In most cases, those areas are off campus, and that building's not owned by Stanford. May be occupied by Stanford departments, but it's just a lease.
So is the R indicated as a rental?
Yes.
So then, how's R different from O?
It's not necessarily. R is just identified as a quick link, a quick identifier that the building is, is rented.
And so does that assume that if it doesn't have the R, it's owned?
Yes. Yep. When rental buildings become owned, we decommission the building ID 90-231R. We create a building ID 90-231, and we assign all of the rooms to that new building ID. Only at that up to that specific point, right? Because we maintain the historical information associated with the building before it became owned by Stanford.
So O is not maintained by Stanford and not owned by Stanford. Is that both?
I would say yes, but there are so many different variables that in most cases when Stanford owns the building, it's assigned to one of the Stanford zones.
Right.
Yeah. I'd have to do a search on the database to see if there are any Zone O's buildings that Stanford owns before I could actually apply confidently with that. The big thing I want to show on this page that I linked to, how did I get to this page again?
Building info.
Building list under the building info link from FIMS, right? This page is limited right here. If you don't, what I do is I have this additional reference. This is a more extensive list here. I have this here bookmarked. And whenever I want to go to a building list, I just go to my links, I go to quick, and I go to addresses all. And that pulls up this page right here. That way I don't have to navigate 3 or 4 clicks to get to this page here. So because the other one is open to Stanford staff, people, not all, like maybe the animal research facilities, the president's house, certain things, certain structures are not going to be shown on that other one.
Yeah, because I know that I use this link, the building list link,
Yes.
and shuffle things, but I know that one of my coworkers who dispatches beyond the academic buildings that I work on pulls up a more extensive list. So I don't know what's the difference of those two lists and why. I guess he's in a different bucket than me.
Well, there's only 2 building lists you can pull up from this website. There's the one I previously shown, and there's this extensive list. No one has access to the website of another. We're not providing a more extensive list than this one right here.
Yeah, I don't know if this is the other extensive list. I always thought that was the main list.
Yeah.
The building list, and he can find things on another list.
So just make sure you're going here, additional resources. This is the most extensive. There are some structures. There's some grounds areas identified in here as well.
So it's anything that's been assigned a quadrant building number. It actually has to have a building ID?
Yeah, yes. But this is not everything that has a building ID. I am not showing construction trailers here.
Do they have building ID?
Yes, everything has everything on campus has a building ID.
Structure has an ID.
Structures have IDs, and then now we see some additional zones, right? We see infrastructures, and we see basically other various types of structures which are coded as Z. G is grounds. So if you do use this a lot and you want a list of all of the zone codes and a description, I can provide that.
But there's no key to indicate what these numerical zone things are necessarily?
This one here?
Yeah.
The G? I'd have to provide that to you. We're not showing the description of the zone code in the report. We're just showing the zone code.
And this list doesn't have square footage, right?
This list doesn't have square footage. You can get to the building page from this list, So this would, a quick tip would be to bookmark this page. This is what I like about these pages here, is now I can do Control F, I can type in Clark, I go to the Clark page, and I click, and I'm at the building page. That's a lot faster than doing FIMS, enter, type in the Clark building, get my search results, and click on that, and then get to the building page. Just bookmark the address, do a search, and click, and you're there. Not all of these will give you access to a building page. We don't actually produce a building page for everything, so there is no building page for structures or various other things as well. But if you wanted to get to most of the academic buildings, school of medicine buildings, you can get to that information from here. Okay? Well, we are almost out of time. Is there anything anyone wants me to go over with this?
Yeah, you mentioned the age of the construction of the building.
Yes.
Can you show me how you navigate to that?
On this page here, I don't see the attributes. How would I see the attributes down here? If I want to see the attributes for this building.
Or operational?
Yep, I would do operational. Scroll down. What I'm looking for is construction date. This is only pulling up one building at a time. I mentioned in the beginning, for multiple buildings, you'd have to provide a request for me to produce that information. Get a building list showing building name, address, and construction date.
So you can run a report giving the original construction date for all buildings in A, B, C, and D upon request?
Yes, in proper submittal of green paper. Yes, green paper basically looks like this here.
Oh.
If it has a number 20 or anything higher than that, the report will come a lot faster. I say things with a straight face so you don't know what I'm talking about, but I showed you some money. Sorry.
So, you talked about how the square footage information tied to the departments gets updated, but if it is random, how often is it done? I mean,
well, it's
from your side, do you say that I do it every 6 months, or
As rooms change, they go through the Form 1 process, or even the department project managers provide Form 1s. We get notified of the changes and make the updates, so the room numbers and square footages kind of pretty much are perpetually accurate. When departments move in and out, we don't police that closely, so it's up to the space coordinators. They are required to do it every 2 years. On the even year. So we just went through one this past August through the end of September, and all the space coordinators went through and updated their space. A few do it as changes occur. I don't have a good percentage or idea of how many do it annually, but there are groups. We basically try and push them every summer to go and update their space, right? And
other than that, for construction, you rely solely on Form 1.
Form 1s and building managers, department project managers, we work with them. Some of them are really good because they want to use our floor plans for various things. They know that if they can't create a work order, they can't assign equipment to a room unless that room exists in the database.
And it would be in their interest because they charge utilities based on that PTA.
Right.
Tied to the department, right?
Yes. And we send out emails May or June to all the space coordinators, letting them know about the utility consumption report. If they've moved, actually I send an email out almost every month. I have an open lab for space coordinators to come in and make updates, and I help them out as they need. That's did I say that was monthly? But that's every month, the first Friday of the month. And sometimes I get 1 or 2 people that come in and make changes, sometimes more, sometimes I don't get anyone. But Okay?
All right.
Can I just go through one more thing? Can I have 2 minutes? Because I didn't get a chance to touch on it, and that is the online archives information. Just going to go through real quick. You can get there through this page by clicking on that online archives, which takes you here, and it auto-populates that. I could also type in maps-archives, and then go to the main page and search. There's various ways of information you can search, and I just want to show this just so you can kind of look through it if you have a need to. But one thing I just want to point out is sometimes I get requests for building heights. What's the height of a building? What's the height of certain floors or whatever? That would be on construction plans. If you need to look at an electrical plan, a mechanical plan, an elevation of a building, an O&M manual, operations and maintenance manual, specifications, a building permit, you would come in. This is our archive of all of our documents. I can pull up the construction set for this building. It's built around 1965. Here are all the sheets. If I wanted to know the height of a building, I can go in here to elevations. It's a PDF file. Opens up an elevation of the building. Right-click zoom. Zoom in right here. And I can see this. I can see the height is, 128 feet up to this point. I can get the floor heights right here, just as something real quick. But here's a list of all of the available sheets that we have. You click on any of the sheets here to pull up that scanned image. Sorry, I'm rushing through this.
So you've archived everything on all the buildings?
We have a little backlog, yeah, but some new renovation that's come in the last 2 months, maybe it's not up here yet. But definitely all the older stuff. As well as, I mentioned related documents. There's a link right here, related documents. So here's mechanical equipment schedules, an air balance report, specifications. These are just PDF files. Some of them are pretty large, 300 pages, 800 pages, or whatever. But all of this is available.
So if I wanted to look at like 02540, and they recently did a modernization on the elevator, and I wanted to see whether or not the documents that were sent to me directly have been archived, if all the wiring diagrams and everything are here,
right.
I can go right to that building archive and see whether or not they've actually submitted it.
Correct. Yeah.
To maps and records as well.
Correct. You can also send an email if you want to find out if a recent project has been submitted. But to see if it's been archived, just do a search. You mentioned a building number. 02 what?
540.
Okay. 02540.
Civil engineering.
And I can look at the date here. Here's a date of October 2012 elevator modernization. I can click on this. It doesn't look like, it says here related documents only. So there was no sheets provided, large floor plan sheets. So related documents only means I go in here to the related doc, and I can see that this manual has not been scanned yet because it doesn't show a link. But we received it, we entered it, did the data entry. The next step will be to basically batch through our related documents, which we do once a quarter or so, and scan them, and then link them all.
But at least I could go there and I could say, okay, they have submitted the as-built. I could come over here to the department, I'd say, Dobie, I see they've submitted them, can I come and make copies of all the detail, the wiring diagrams and that kind of thing?
Yes. And you can even help us by saying, hey, I see that they submitted this project, but you only have the related docs. And I know there's 5 size E sheets of paper of the floor plans and whatever that go with that. And then that will help us to go back to the project manager to try to obtain that information.
Okay.
And you can volunteer to scan it for them.
Yes. And we will pay, no, we won't.
Oh, nice.
Okay?
What did you do with the
Well, actually, I do the elevator maintenance, that contract, but I know it was modernized and I got copies of it. But sometimes I always want to double check that they've actually submitted them to Maps and Records, so they're on file there as well.
Yes.
You know, because I give a set to the technician, I want to make sure there's a, a set on file. So just a double check measure.
Yeah. So this is a pretty nice, easy, simple tool to use for our online archives. You can see the more information you put in, the more restricted the search will be. So you could just search for, we do have project title or keywords here, so you could search for permit. I don't know if I need to use percent signs or not in there. But, or you have a project number or project manager's name. You don't have to know the building ID, but...
And what's the level or the limit to get into that kind of archive detail?
This
Say I have my technician.
LBRE.
ID.
Basically, LBRE has access to get in and pull up the PDF files. It's the same as the FIMS operational staff, or operational groups, EH&S, public safety. You'd have to know if are they part of LBRE, public safety, or EH&S, right?
Yeah.
So if it's an architect or a contractor or something, they won't have access to this. We can provide the scanned files to them by putting it up in Box, and then we basically add them or invite them to that Box folder, and they have access to that, and it's there for whatever 5 days or whatever it is, and then disappears. Yeah.
Toby, any preference on browser to use?
This works in both IE or Firefox, which I believe are the main two on campus, but
Mac PC, no problem.
no, yeah, we have all kinds of users. Yeah, we have people in the School of Medicine facilities group, a couple people that have access and use this because their information's here, and I know that they use Macs. So. I need to, real quick, most of these pages at the bottom of the page, there should be links available to Help SU and FIMS. Okay, so you can email FIMS or do the Help SU. And that way, if I'm out on vacation or someone else is out, we pick up each other's slack. So.
I never knew that there was that find at the bottom of the page like that.
Oh, this here? It just, well, I think on this browser it comes up on the bottom, on IE it comes up on the top or whatever, but it's basically Control F and you can search on that page. Yeah.